Hey there, lovely listeners. Welcome back to Let's Read, the podcast where I, Moonbeam, get to dive into incredible stories with you. Before we jump into today's chapter, if you're enjoying our journey through My Disciple Died Again, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps the show and it tells me you're having as much fun as I am. All right, settled in? Good. Today, we're picking up right where we left off with our favorite modern girl in a cultivation world. We're on chapter 10, titled Meeting the Little Turnip Again. Let's find out what kind of hilarious situation Zhu Yao gets herself into next. So, at the end of our last episode, Zhu Yao had just learned about her surprisingly high status in the sect, and that's exactly why Li Lin, the polite disciple who brought them to the sect, showed up on Jade Forest Mountain. He was there to get Zhu Yao all set up with her official Identity Jade tablet and the sect's entry procedures. Now, usually, new disciples have to go through a whole month of orientation lectures, kind of like a boot camp. After that, the inner sect mountains pick out a few promising students and everyone else goes to the outer sect until they can build their foundation. But not our Zhu Yao. Because her spirit vein is so incredibly unique, she skips all of that. She's immediately taken in as a personal succeeding disciple of Sovereign Yu Yan. This means she's pretty much set for life. Li Lin can't help but feel a little envious seeing that special divine imprint on her forehead. Who can blame him? A personal succeeding disciple is a super rare and important role. Since Zhu Yao still can't fly a sword, Li Lin has to pull out that giant leaf he used before to carry her to the main mountain. And as they arrive, Li Lin is so respectful, guiding her every step of the way. Zhu Yao, feeling a bit awkward, tells him to just call her Zhu Yao since he's around her age. But Li Lin just smiles, not quite agreeing, and speaks to the hall manager. This older uncle immediately stiffens up, gives Zhu Yao a huge bow and calls out, "Ancestral Grand Marshal Aunt." Ancestral Grand Marshal Aunt? Zhu Yao is speechless. Li Lin tries to comfort her, explaining that in the cultivation world, seniority is all about cultivation level. Since she's Sovereign Yu Yan's disciple, this kind of situation is going to be completely normal from now on. He guides her to a chair and explains that her Jade Forest Mountain Identity tablet will take some time to finish. While she waits, Zhu Yao looks around. This seems to be the sect's mission hall, a sort of central hub. Li Lin points to the tablets hanging around the room and tells her that this is where missions are managed. Disciples can take on missions, earn contribution points, and then exchange those points for goods. Pretty much an exchange market, like a Cultivation World general store. As she's sitting there, more people keep coming in, greeting Li Lin with various respectful titles, from Senior Marshal Uncle to Ancestral Senior Marshal Uncle. They eye Zhu Yao curiously, but don't ask about her, which Zhu Yao is thankful for. She really doesn't want a bunch of people, young and old, calling her ancestor. She also wonders who Li Lin's master is, hoping he's not from the Pellet Mountain because, well, she's kinda blacklisted there. Suddenly, someone rushes in, looking hurried. He whispers something to Li Lin, and Li Lin, who was calm moments ago, tenses up. Ancestral Grand Marshal Aunt? A small matter seems to have come up at Sword Mountain. If possible, he begins. Zhu Yao, being understanding, waves her hand and tells him to go. She'll wait. Li Lin hesitates, finds another disciple to make sure Zhu Yao gets sent back after her tablet is finished, and then rushes off with the hurried youth. Zhu Yao waits for about half an hour, but the manager still hasn't appeared. Clearly, that identity tablet is a big job. She decides to take a little stroll. The moment she steps out, a familiar sight greets her, a bunch of those little turnips. And at the front, head lowered, is that little wimp with the round face, none other than Dr. Wang's son, Wang Huji. "It's you!" Little Wang Huji spots her. His eyes sparkle and he charges over like a tiny cannonball. Zhu Yao spreads her arms, ready for a hug, but at the last second, the little turnip slams on the brakes. He glares at her, purses his lips, and starts lecturing her furiously. Where did you run off to? I looked for you everywhere. Let me tell you this. If you're lost, I won't come looking for you, all right? Huh. What contradictory words from this kid? First you looked everywhere, then you won't look at all? Zhu Yao awkwardly lowers her arms and strokes little Wang's head. He might be a wimp, but he was clearly worried about her. Seeing his little face puffed up with anger, his eyes ready to tear up, Zhu Yao's heart melts a bit. She squats down and rubs his cute little cheeks. What are you crying for? Look, didn't I come back? Were you so worried about me? Little Wang startles, then puffs up like a firecracker. Who's worried about you? If not for the fact that you're going to be married to me in the future, I wouldn't care the least bit about you. My dad once told me, you suddenly disappearing like that is called a wife not doing her duty. Zhu Yao's hands stop. And then she starts pinching his cheeks harder. Your sister's not doing her wifely duties, she probably thought to herself. As I thought, he's a spoiled brat. A day without a beating, he will scale the roof to strip the tiles. It hurts! It hurts! It hurts! Little Wimp tries to pull her hands off, but he's no match for Zhu Yao. Only after Zhu Yao is satisfied with her cheek-pinching session does she release his reddened little cheeks. She points to the line of little turnips behind him and asks, "What are you guys doing here?" Little Wang rubs his cheeks irritated. Senior Marshal Brother Qin brought us here to receive our identity jade tablets. So they're here for their tablets too? Zhu Yao is about to ask what they've been up to for the last 2 days, but then she sees a commotion among the little turnips. A familiar-looking small boy is pushed to the ground, and a slightly chubby kid is sitting on him, waving his fists, while a little girl is crying nearby. The other kids just watch anxiously, and even the youth who brought them here, Senior Marshal Brother Qin, just looks away like it's not his problem. What are you guys doing? Before Zhu Yao can even react, Little Wang, the self-proclaimed husband-to-be, shouts at them, stopping the little fatty from beating the kid on the floor. Little Wang angrily marches over, points at the little fatty, and demands, "Little Fatty Zal, why did you beat him?" Little Fatty Zal, looking annoyed, gets off the dirt-stained boy on the ground. This kid dared to cut into my cue. I was simply teaching him a lesson. No, it's not like that. The crying little girl hurries to explain. Little Fatty said he wanted to be the first to receive his identity jade tablet and stopped me from receiving mine. Big Brother Yi stood out to help me. Oh no, it looks like our little Zhu Yao has stumbled into a playground brawl. Zhu Yao was about to step in, but Senior Marshal Brother Qin, the disciple leading the little turnips, stopped her. He warned her not to get involved, whispering that little Fatty Zhao is the son of the first disciple of Weapon Refining Mountain, has valuable water and wood duo spirit veins, and is basically guaranteed to enter the inner sect. Basically, stay out of trouble. Zhu Yao thinks to herself, so it's a status thing, huh? She wonders if it's really okay to let a kid get away with beating someone up, even if they are just kids. But before she can dwell on it, little Wang Suji, our feisty doctor's son, takes charge. He settles the queue by height, putting the shortest at the front. It seems little Long is quite the leader among these kids. Little Fatty Zhao ends up near the back, and Wang Suji, being the tallest, is at the very end. Then little Wang turns to Zhu Yao and with all the confidence of a miniature patriarch says, Hey, wife, you stand here," pointing behind him. Zhu Yao's mouth twitches. She feels everyone's curious stares and momentarily wants to pinch him to death. Little Wang, misunderstanding her hesitation, thinks she's unhappy about being at the back, so he painfully takes a step back and offers, "If not, I can permit you to stand in front of me as well." Zhu Yao's expression darkens even more, but seeing his serious face, she walks over, scoops little Wang up, and gives his little bottom a few firm spanks. Little Wang gasps from the pain, but strangely doesn't yell out. He just gives Zhu Yao a mysterious look and slowly turns his head away, blushing. Zhu Yao wonders what the spoiled brat is thinking, but decides to ignore it. Suddenly, she feels a bump. The little fatty has squeezed himself into the third position from the back, right in front of the kid he beat up, Xiao Yi. Little fatty even turns back and makes a face at Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi almost falls again, barely catches himself, and glares at the little fatty with pure hatred. He mutters something softly, too quiet for anyone else to hear, but Zhu Yao, standing right behind him, catches it clearly. One day, I will have everyone in this world crawl beneath my feet. Zhu Yao is hit with a strange yet familiar feeling. Something feels wrong. She looks closely at Xiao Yi. Isn't he that calm, serious little beggar boy with duo spirit veins from back in the city? Li Lin had even praised him. She wonders which master he'll get, but she can't shake the odd feeling about him. What exactly is wrong? She ponders this for a while, but her thoughts are interrupted when the manager respectfully hands her the finished identity tablet. She quickly explains to Little Wong that she's under a different master now and will visit often. Little Wong gives her a look that screams, "You're not doing your wifely duties again," as Zhu Yao follows the manager back to Yade Forest Mountain. Life as a cultivator, it turns out, is incredibly dull. Ever since Master Yu Yan taught her how to absorb spiritual energy, he's completely disappeared. Zhu Yao tries to absorb spiritual energy all day, but nothing. She's about to starve. She searches her own house, then her master's, but finds no food, and Master Yu Yan is gone too. She starts thinking she's going to starve to death. Did Master just forget that I need to eat? She looks at the lush forest, considering going to find food herself, but then she remembers she can barely cook rice, let alone hunt and prepare wild food. "Master, hurry and come home. Your disciple is about to starve to death." So 3 days later, when Master Yu Yan finally returns from his closed-door meditation, he once again finds a collapsed body in front of his house. He frowns. Does his disciple have an eccentric habit of lying on the ground randomly? He silently casts a dirt removal art on her and infuses some spiritual energy into her, and Zhu Yao finally stirs. Seeing him, Zhu Yao bursts into tears and immediately latches onto his legs, hugging him tight. "Master!" Yu Yan stiffens. He's clearly not used to this kind of embrace, but thinking that this is his long-awaited disciple, he manages to suppress the urge to fling her away. He even thinks, "My little disciple must like me quite a lot. She's this moved after only a few days apart." Zhu Yao, still tearful, begins her accusations. "You're finally back? I was about to starve to death." She complained she was so hungry she almost started chewing on tree bark. "I want to eat." But Master Yu Yan immediately rejects her request. As a practitioner, one must not savor food. There are too many impurities in mortal food that will easily influence your cultivation. "But Master," Zhu Yao protests, "if I don't eat now, I will really starve to death. How can I cultivate if I'm dead?" Master Yu Yan is startled. Oh right, his disciple hasn't even learned how to absorb spiritual energy yet. It seems she really does need to eat. He falls silent, looking at his crying disciple clinging to his leg, a deeply melancholy expression on his face, as if thinking, "Why is my disciple so weak?" He sighs, and then, in a flash, he disappears, leaving Zhu Yao alone and hungry on the grass. Just when she thinks her master has abandoned her, in a blur, he's back, carrying a huge bag of stuff. With a shake of his hand, fresh cabbages, carrots, and other vegetables tumble out. He went to find food for her, but how is she supposed to eat them raw? As she stands there, skeptical, her master picks up a carrot and some other veggies, opens the kitchen door, pulls up his sleeves, and starts to cook. Zhu Yao stares dumbfounded at this pristine white-robed man. One hand holds a carrot, the other hand holds a knife, making rhythmic dung-dung-dung sounds on the chopping board. He's performing this mundane, everyday task with such overflowing divinity. Master, Zhu Yao thinks, when did you put skill points into your life skills? In less than 10 minutes, on the stone table outside their thatched cottage, he laid out 5 steaming dishes, 4 plates of vegetables, and a bowl of soup. The aroma was incredible, and Zhu Yao was just staring, wide-mouthed, at this non-deity-like person in front of her. "Eat," Master Nguyen said, as casually as if he hadn't just performed a culinary miracle. He handed her a bowl of white rice, and Zhu Yao mechanically took it, her mind still reeling with exclamation marks. "Master, you know how to cook?" she asked. Yu Yan paused, then replied, "Your grandmaster once taught me." "Oh, so it's a skill inheritance. How cool." Zhu Yao silently began to eat. After 3 bowls of rice, she was finally stuffed, feeling completely resurrected from the dead. The whole time, Master Yu Yan just sat across from her, watching her eat. When she finished, he immediately started clearing the table. Before Zhu Yao could even stop him, he had the dishes cleaned in the kitchen and even neatly arranged the rest of the vegetables outside the doorway. Zhu Yao watched, her eyes sparkling, practically wanting to engrave "virtuous house husband" on his forehead. Her master truly could do anything. Master Yu Yan, seeing that Zhu Yao still hadn't absorbed any spiritual energy, didn't pressure her. He just gave her some encouraging words, telling her not to rush her cultivation. Zhu Yao was deeply moved, feeling like she had hit the jackpot with such an all-around amazing master. Her desire to cultivate soared, and she confidently returned to her house, determined to sense spiritual energy. Unfortunately, motivation alone isn't enough. Zhu Yao meditated all night. She didn't fall asleep this time, but she still couldn't feel even a hint of spiritual energy. As the sun rose, a deep sense of powerlessness washed over her. She'd already found out that all the other little turnips who came to the sect with her had managed to sense spiritual energy, which allowed them to open their identity jade tablets. Even that little fatty had cultivated to the 1st level of essence, and little Wang had reached the 2nd level. That's why he was so respected by the other kids. But Zhu Yao? She couldn't even open her own identity tablet. So embarrassing, she thought. Where's the promised cheat of a lightning spirit vein holder? Zhu Yao let out a long sigh. She felt like she needed to go talk to her master about her life to mend her broken heart. Just as she got up, a familiar rush of warmth came from her lower body. It felt like thousands of horses galloping, aggressive and endless. Zhu Yao's face paled, and she felt like crying. Before she could even greet her long-lost auntie, that's Chinese internet slang for your period, by the way, an excruciating pain flared in her lower abdomen, stealing her consciousness. "Mama's egg," she cursed, another way to say what the hell in this context. Why the hell does it hurt so much? She had always suffered from terrible period pain, the excruciating kind. Every month she'd be super careful not to drink anything cold to avoid it. Just 1 sip of cold water would land her in the hospital for painkillers. But since she arrived in this new world a few months ago, her auntie had mysteriously disappeared. She'd even secretly rejoiced, thinking maybe this world didn't have such a cruel creature. How was she to know it was just a network delay due to unacclimation? Several months' worth of aunties were just waiting for her. Add in the cold breeze from climbing the mountain a few days ago, and this pain was going to be bad. A while later, Zhu Yao was curled up in a ball, but the pain wouldn't ease. Her bed was already stained with red. Just when she thought she was going to die from the pain, the door banged open. A white figure appeared by her bed. Master Yu Yan's cold expression was deeply creased with a frown. He looked strangely at her rolling on the bed, truly startled by the sudden smell of blood in the air. "You're wounded?" he asked, his mind racing. Who dared harm his disciple under his supervision? "Master." Zhu Yao silently pulled her blanket higher. Desperate to cover her legs, there was nothing more embarrassing than having her period discovered. "Who wounded you?" Yu Yan reached out, grabbed her wrist, and began checking her pulse. A large amount of blood loss. Her injuries seemed severe. "No, it's not that." Zhu Yao embarrassingly pulled her hand back. "He couldn't possibly not know what this was, right? Master, please leave first. I'll be fine in just a moment. Oh, right. If it's not inconvenient, would you mind boiling me a bowl of brown sugar water?" Brown sugar water? Yu Yan was completely clueless. Looking at her hesitant expression, he could only guess. Did she have a reason not to tell him? Or did the person who harmed her threaten her with something? A certain master's anger flared. Someone actually dared to threaten her disciple? "You do not have to be afraid. Tell Master what's the matter. I will personally help you do justice. How the hell was she going to explain about her auntie? Master, I'm really all right. Yu Yan's frown deepened. Seeing her determined not to explain, he had no choice but to try the next best thing. Let your master see your wound. Zhu Yao was stunned. Are you serious? I don't have a wound. But Yu Yan had already pulled her blanket away, looking at her legs. Because of her earlier movements, her auntie's blood surged even more, staining her entire pants. In Yu Yan's eyes, her injuries just seemed to worsen, the smell of fresh blood even denser. He reached out to pull off his disciple's pants, wanting to investigate her wound. Zhu Yao reacted suddenly, pressing on his hand, her face completely pale from his attempt. Master, I'm really all right. This is normal. Yu Yan maintained his serious expression, pulling her hand away with reproachful eyes. You're injured to this extent. How is this normal? Release my hand. Let your master have a look. No! Zhu Yao was so frightened she forgot the pain. She instantly leapt up and scrambled to the corner of the bed. Since she was young, this was the first time someone was righteously trying to strip off her pants. Who could be calm? Yu Yan's face darkened even more. His already cold expression became even icier. Come here. Zhu Yao shook her head furiously. If she went over, her chastity and virginity would disappear, all right? Yu Yan simply waved his hand. Zhu Yao immediately felt her body stiffen. As if she'd lost control, she floated forward and landed neatly in Yu Yan's embrace. With a simple pull, Zhu Yan's pants were lowered, revealing white underwear stained with red blood. Zhu Yao felt a chill on her lower body. In that moment, embarrassment, awkwardness, astonishment, humiliation, every feeling imaginable exploded in her heart. A screech she couldn't suppress echoed throughout the clouds, and out of pure reflex, her right hand delivered a tight slap directly to her master's face. Ah! Sovereign Yu Yan, the absolute pinnacle of the cultivation world, hadn't been injured in thousands of years. People who dared to oppose him were either dust or already ascended. Yet, just yesterday, he got a solid smack on his left cheek from his precious disciple, Zhu Yao. His face was fine, but her hand was red. Yu Yan just couldn't understand. He just wanted to look at his idiot disciple's wound, so why such a huge reaction? Not only did she stop him, she even hit him. Honestly, her piercing scream had even startled him. So he had no choice but to retreat, leaving behind some medicine to stop her bleeding. He had to figure out what was wrong with his disciple. He knew she wasn't the brightest, but this violent reaction was new. And that word she shouted, that swear word, was it directed at him? Yu Yan, having lived in seclusion on Jade Forest Mountain for over 10,000 years with limited contact with the outside world, knew very little about mortal life. What did that word even mean? His own master never taught him that. So, to protect his masterly prestige and understand his disciple's odd behavior, the sovereign Yu Yan, who had holed himself up for over 10 millennia, decided to make a secret visit to the mortal realm. With a spirit of scientific inquiry, he began a field investigation, of course, using an invisibility art. After flying around the world for an entire day, he finally understood his disciple wasn't injured at all. It was a natural phenomenon that only happened to women, what the mortals called a period. Yu Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Good, she wasn't injured. But then a new problem popped up. Why wouldn't he look at it? If it was natural, why hide it? Was she afraid of being scolded? But he had never scolded her. No matter how hard he thought, Yu Yan just couldn't understand his disciple's mind. In the end, he could only conclude, my disciple is really an idiot. Poor Zhu Yao. After learning a few precautions, Yu Yan returned with extreme haste. The moment he entered her room, he frowned at the stifling, dense smell of blood. He simply cast a wind-type mystic art, and the smell lightened. His idiotic disciple had already fainted on the bed, which was completely stained with blood. Yuyan got closer, used a dirt removal art on her body and the bed, then lifted her and fed her a blood-raising essence-building potion. Seeing her twisted brows finally loosen, he was relieved. He gently placed her back on the bed and covered her with a blanket. Still not quite settled, he pulled out some Millennium Ice silk from his pouch, transformed it into another blanket, and placed it over her to ensure she wouldn't catch a cold. He then waved his hand to light the candles and silently took out a glowing white fabric and a pair of scissors. When Zhu Yao woke up, she briefly thought her cultivation world life was a dream. She felt like she was home. In front of her, on a wooden square table with metal-plated stools, sat her thrifty mother sewing. But wait, when did her mom become a man and wear a weird white robe? Master. She finally recognized the person sewing in front of her. Her jaw was once again in danger of falling off. Master Yuyan paused, calmly looked at her and said, "You're awake." Then his fingers moved, smoothly tying a knot and biting off the thread with a precise, crisp movement. He was even more skilled than her own mom. "Master, what?" she gasped. "Oh my God, what did I just witness? My master can do needlework? Master, please tell me, which skill have you not added skill points into?" Yuyan didn't seem to notice her astonishment. He calmly put his sewing kit away, cleared the dozens of rectangular fabrics he'd finished, and walked over. He checked Zhu Yao's pulse and asked, "Is your body feeling better?" Yes. She was still in shock, but then realized the painful feeling had indeed eased a lot, though it was still turbulent. She instinctively recoiled a little. But this time, Yuyan didn't mind. He simply handed her all the sewn products. Zhu Yao curiously took them. The fabrics were incredibly soft, smooth, light, and clearly not ordinary. And the stitching was perfect, no loose threads anywhere. He was clearly a master of handicraft. "What is this fabric?" she asked, noting how expensive it looked. "Southern Sea Sharkman raw silk," Yuyan answered nonchalantly. "Your master only has this fabric material on hand. Make use of it first. If you don't like it, I will help you look for some better ones tomorrow." "For me? What is it for?" She stretched out one of the small fabrics. Was it a handkerchief? Yuyan gave that "why is my disciple such an idiot" look again, and then in a clear, resounding voice stated, "Sanitary pads." Zhu Yao's hands trembled and she nearly fell off the bed. Sanitary pads, anti-pads. The reason he had been sewing for so long was to make her anti-pads? Yuyan, completely oblivious to his disciple's petrified state, patiently continued explaining, "Don't worry, I have done my research. A woman's period lasts for at most 5 to 6 days. These are enough to last you for this entire month. If it's still not enough, I will make more for you then. In times like this, women will be fatigued and physically weak. Regarding the matters about your cultivation, there is no need to rush. If there's any other inconvenience, you are permitted to tell your master directly. I will not scold you. The brown sugar water you spoke of, I will boil some for you tomorrow. Have a good rest for today. Your master will come see you again tomorrow." After saying all that neatly and orderly, he stood up and left. As for Zhu Yao, whose hands were still stuffed with anti-pads, she remained frozen, her heart reeling as if struck by a hurricane. Is master really all right? She wondered. There's something wrong with my master's brain. What do I do? Emergency! Someone please help me. Here's the thing. Yuyan had never been a master before. This was his first time. His own master had ascended when Yuyan reached the Azoth stage ages ago, and those memories were foggy. So he had no experience with disciples. He was a pure first-timer. And adding that his disciple was a little stupid, he was even more worried. So he decided to gain some much-needed experience from his Grand Marshal nephew, who had plenty of experience raising disciples. So, When the Ancient Hill sect master, Reverend Z. Moore, had finally finished his day's mountain of paperwork and was about to take a nap, he was startled awake by the sudden appearance of Sovereign Yuyan in his room. Yuyan rarely left Jade Forest Mountain. You could count his visits in 10,000 years on one hand, yet here he was, personally visiting. Reverend Z. Moore was excited. Was he going to get some pointers from his ancestral martial uncle? Just as he was about to bow respectfully, his ancestral martial uncle threw him an incredibly odd question. How do you make brown sugar water? Reverend Z. Moore was utterly bewildered. What? Brown sugar water? Is that some sort of new mystic art? Oh my goodness. Master Yuyan, the all-powerful cultivator, researching periods and making sanitary pads, then asking the sect master how to make brown sugar water? This is just too much. What will Reverend Z. Moore think? And what new skills will Master Yuyan pick up next? You'll have to tune in next time to find out. Thank you so much for joining me on Let's Read. Don't forget to subscribe and like this podcast if you enjoyed it. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, keep reading, keep listening, and keep adventuring. Bye for now.